it's interesting. The line is creeping up in favor of Oregon. So more, I would think more money's coming in on Oregon. That line was 3.5. It's now in some places Oregon is favored by 4 points. On the surface, I'm kind of surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what you have to understand is that so this whole concept of, the home team is going to get 3 points, just right out the gate. So when I look at the points and, where it's coming in, being 3.5 or, in some places 4, to me just isn't, I don't think it's that much disrespect to BYU. They're essentially saying, no, because they're essentially saying that Oregon is 1 point better than BYU. That's essentially what they're saying with that line. So to me, I mean, certainly BYU on the road in Eugene, they're not going to be favored. That's just not going to happen. So I think it's a perfectly respectable line.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. What I say about this, and what I've always said about this, is that I think the boys in Vegas rarely get it wrong. And I think when you look at lines, obviously lines are created to make people spend money, to bet on games. Totally get that. But at the end of the day, when you look at the lines and you look how close the final score is, the numbers are pretty close. I personally believe BYU is going to go up and they're going to win a close game. I think it's ridiculous that the 12th team in the country is a 4-point dog. Even if they're on the road, I think it's ridiculous that they're a 4-point dog to the 25th team in the country.
Yeah, I mean, again, and this is the conversation we've been having throughout the week, like how much does the AP matter? How much do rankings matter? And so, when I like for me personally, when I'm getting ready to talk about these matchups and everything, I don't really take into account, the 2015, the 12th team, the 20th team. Like the ranking to me.
You don't?
No, because the ranking to me doesn't matter as much as the storyline of the season. And what a lot of people are saying about Oregon right now is, yeah, in week 1, you got absolutely boat raced by Georgia. This past week, you had a nice 70-point performance against a nobody. And so this week against BYU, people kind of feel like, hey, this is sort of the get-back game opportunity for Oregon. And that's why I think there's money coming in on Oregon, because people feel like, hey, they had a nice little showing against, a nobody, and now they're going to come out against BYU. But I don't necessarily even agree with that.
Wow. I totally disagree. I think, without question, when I'm picking games, I look at where they're ranked. I look at how they played. Like the thing with Oregon is, what have we seen from Oregon that's at all impressive this year? I mean, even like Eastern Washington Technical Cooking School was not an impressive win. Like that does not impress me. That does not move me at all. I think Bo Nix was an average-ass quarterback last year when he was at Auburn.
Facts.
I think Bo Nix is an average-ass quarterback. Now that he's wearing the Ducks uniform, I just think he's part of the problem. They're not talented at wide receiver, certainly not as talented as BYU. I think they're going to struggle to stop the run and to run the ball. Like, I just don't see a lot of matchups in this Oregon game with BYU that go to Oregon. And I see a BYU team that went into very difficult conditions in Tampa and handily beat South Florida, even with all the delays, even with every reason in the world not to play well. They played very well. They came home. They handled a very, very good Baylor team. Like, you have every reason in the world to believe that BYU is ready to play this game, and I don't see a whole lot of ways that Oregon has prepared or is ready to win this game.
Yeah, from a football perspective, I completely agree. I think what's happening, and again, this is what usually happens to BYU, if I'm being honest. The PR machine or the storytelling that happens about Oregon always seems to point or to paint Oregon in a very favorable way. And so, again, what I think is happening right now is people are saying, hey, Oregon is a team that we know last year was really good, and this year should also have been pretty good, but they've struggled early. So I think the feeling is, when will they get back on track? Now, I'm with you. I think that BYU has a great chance to win this game. I completely agree. I think BYU's defense is going to come out. BYU's defense is going to come out. They're going to stop the run. I think Max Tooley has another big game, another double-digit tackle game, and I think that BYU controls this game controls the clock. But You can't have what you can't have in this game is any type of turnover from Jaren or any type of silly giveaways. I think if you start turning the football over in this game, you're asking for trouble. But if you play your game, if you execute and you do what you've been doing, BYU is going to be just fine in this game.
Yeah, we'll see. I think that there is a perception versus reality issue for BYU. I think the brand at Oregon is really strong, and to me, I think that's why you're looking at a situation where I think BYU's not getting the respect they deserve. I understand it's Oregon. I understand it's Phil Knight begging for a place in the Big Ten. I totally get that. I just don't think that should play a major role here, and I think it is. And I disagree with it. All right, let's get some of your thoughts in here because a lot of people are asking about the Saturday event.
Yes.
Jesse Harsh says, how many people will be at Barbecue Pit Stop on Saturday? Remember that Saturday we are announcing the winner of the BYU Notre Dame drive-away to see BYU and Notre Dame in Las Vegas. And it's been an avalanche of entries. I mean, I am humbly shocked. I am humbly shocked at how many people have entered this contest, have asked about the contest, have gone to Barbecue Pit Stop. It has been remarkable.
So we probably had, because we put entry boxes in all these locations. Obviously, we've been telling you to go into the different locations. We probably had, I don't know, between 50 to 100 entry forms per entry box at each location. And there's like 3 of the locations that are like, yeah, we had to stop taking entries because we're overwhelmed. So, I mean, that kind of puts into perspective how many people have entered to win these tickets. And I do think quite a few people are going to show up. And I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. Yeah,
Barbecue Pit Stop in Lehigh on Saturday. We're going to do our Football Saturday show. They're starting at noon. The BYU-Oregon game kicks off at 1:30 on Fox. We'll watch that game. We're going to have a dozen pizzas from Papa Murphy's. We are going to have wings from Don's Meat. Don is somebody that we've done business with for several years. That's where we get our wings. So Don's going to kick in some wings for us. We're going to have a couple of Traeger smokers there. We're going to smoke the pizzas, smoke the wings.
By the way, our own personal pizza recipe will be at this event. The barbecue sauce, what we tell you, so you're going to be able to try it.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Join us at Barbecue Pit Stop Saturday in Lehigh. It is going to be a great time. And then at halftime, we'll take all of those entries from all of the different barbecue pit stops, and we're going to have them in a little hopper. We'll shake it up, and we'll pull one winner. And we're going to send somebody to Las Vegas to see BYU take on Notre Dame in the Shamrock Series. Yeah, you get 2 nights at the Palms Casino Resort. You get 2 tickets to the game and a $250 gas card to get you there. And it is all presented by our good friends at Barbecue Pit Stop. Make sure that and if you want to enter and you haven't entered yet, it's going to be tough to do that. I'll be honest with you. But you can ask them on their website, barbecuepitstop.com. You see it on the screen there. They have a little chat feature. If you show up on Saturday before kickoff, during the Football Saturday show, we'll have a box on the table for you before kickoff. Because once it kicks off, that's it. Contest is closed. But I know a lot of people procrastinated, and I warned you about this. Don't procrastinate. Get to Barbecue Pit Stop and get that filled out. But I know there's a lot of people who went in, for instance, the Barbecue Pit Stop in Murray was just getting so much interest in it that they had to take the box down. It's crazy. So that's going to be Saturday. Be there by noon. If you get there noon or later, I mean, that's cool, but I would tell you be there at noon. If you're there and you want to talk some football, we might even put you on the show. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have a really good time. Barbecue Pit Stop, Lehigh, Saturday at noon. We're going to start our show. I know guys like Gabe Ledley are flying in from Phoenix.
They're flying in from other markets. Let's go.
Greg Hawkins says he's going to be there. So when the question's asked, how many people are going to be there, I really have no idea.
Are we clear on that?
I do not know, how that's going to happen. Karen Montemayor joins the show.
Okay, Karen.
Can we enter at the event on Saturday? Yes, as I said, we'll put a box on the table. But you have to be there before 1:30 kickoff. If you are not entered in the contest now, the only way to enter is to show up at Barbecue Pit Stop on Saturday in Lehigh from noon to essentially 1 o'clock. I'll have a box on our table, and you can enter to win there, but that's really it. That is really it. Isaac Aguiar says we need some Jazz talk. That's coming up in about 50 minutes. Harris LaChance, the BYU offensive lineman, will join us coming up here at 10:30. And then at 11 o'clock, we will do an entire hour of Jazz, Isaac. So stick around
Don't
for
worry,
that.
we are ready.
Jake Gordon says, I'd love to talk football with you guys. Show up on Saturday,
Let's do
Jake.
it, man.
And
Let's do it.
We'll absolutely do that. Lopes fan Gabe says, Saturday can't come quick enough. Let's go, casuals. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time. Let's see. Jesse Harsh. Let's go, boys. What's the biggest difference between Jaren and Cam when it comes to quarterback? Who's better? And is there a talent gap? I think Jaren, no knock on Cam. Well, it's funny because we talked about that exact thing before the show today.
Wanted pre-show meeting.
Yeah, is Jaren Hall the best quarterback in Utah? I think that's really close. I'm a huge fan of Cam Rising. I think his leadership, his experience, I think absolutely the things that he does for this football team at Utah. There's a lot of intangibles, leadership on the field, off the field. Mm-hmm. But Jaren Hall this year is very clearly not the same quarterback he's been during his time at BYU. One, he knock on wood, is healthy. Two, I just think his play on the field has significantly improved. I think his reads, there's still some judgment things I'd love to see him clean up. But his reads, his pre-snap work is much better this year, I think, than it was last year. I think his ability to work in play action and to create space for his receivers by moving the pocket, I think has risen exponentially. You can see his chemistry and leadership with his wide receiver room was very evident with Chase Roberts. I think there's no doubt about that. Like, Jaren Hall has taken a significant step forward. A year ago, Cam Rising was by far the best quarterback in the state. Mm-hmm. I think now Jaren Hall is the better quarterback of the two. I think we're going to see what happens when this club runs into some adversity. I think that's going to be a huge question mark as to, hey, what's this going to look like when they lose a game? I mean, what's going to happen if they lose to Oregon this weekend? Mm-hmm. What does Jaren Hall do as a leader? That's where we're going to find out who he is. But, yeah, I mean, if we're comparing apples to apples, I think Jaren Hall's a better quarterback right now than Cam Rising, Jake.
Yeah, and I think last year the biggest hole in Jaren's game was having touch in the different ways you have to throw the football. I think Jaren last year felt the need to at times push the envelope in the run game because he wasn't as proficient of a passer as he is now. And I think against Baylor, you really saw him make every throw. I mean, whether it was a throw that needed more air under it and more touch and kind of put it in the breadbasket type throw, or one that needed to be a fastball, to get it into a tight window. I think Jaren, the development in the passing game to me is what's really allowed him to take the next step. That said, I think it's really close, mainly because Cam Rising has the experience on his side. I think Cam, obviously, with the Rose Bowl and everything that went down with that, I think there's just no value you can put on that type of experience.
Sure.
So to me, my opinion is who's better. Let's say I think I'd probably take Jaren right now because of the athleticism on top of the development in the passing game, but I think it's nitpicking at best.
Yeah, I don't know that one's better than the other. I think that's very close. Karen Montemayor says, "Can you guys please come back to Utah? The state is not the same without you."
Yeah, we're working on it. We're coming home today. This is our last show on the road, and then Friday we'll be back in studio and ready to go.
Yeah, I'm excited to get home. You know what the funny thing is? I actually miss my dogs.
Yeah.
The thing I miss most over the last 2 weeks, and it has been just about a full 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I miss my dogs. It's crazy. They're at a little dog retreat. Mm-hmm. If you will.
A little doggy hotel.
Yeah, and they send us pictures every day of them playing, and it doesn't help. It makes me miss my dogs more. Cody Strickland says, hey, guys, what kind of pizza will you guys be having? Artichoke and chicken?
Well, we told Papa Murphy's to give us a variety of different pizzas. So there's going to be a lot of different options. I can't 100% confirm if we'll have an artichoke chicken one.
Yeah, it's 12 large pizzas, though.
Yeah, it's 12 large pizzas.
That's a lot of pizza. Good morning, Gabe Rasmussen. What's up with you? Neville93 says, good morning, lads. We miss you guys back here in Utah. See you tomorrow. Zayman says, can BYU play great defense against this Ducks speed? I don't necessarily believe that the Ducks have the Ducks are fast, but they don't have, like route running is something that's vastly underrated in college football, the importance of running a good route. Like the wide receiver room at Oregon is not deep. And I think one of the things that we're seeing is this BYU secondary is vastly improved. There's a lot more ability and talent in that BYU secondary now that we've seen over the last couple of years. And there's clearly been developmental time, effort, like a program that's growing at BYU. And if you follow me on Twitter, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show, they got another commitment this morning from a kid in Fort Collins, Colorado. Like they're just winning the recruiting war right now. Like BYU is recruiting at a very high level, but they're also developing that talent. So when you look at Oregon, Oregon's always going to be talented. They're always going to be fast because they're Oregon. I just think that there is a vacuum of development there right now.
Yeah.
And I think BYU is catching them at the right time. By the way, one of the things I think is so interesting about this game is it's not a home at home. It's a one-stop shop. So BYU going to Eugene to play at Autzen against Oregon, they're also getting $1.1 million worth of a paycheck in this game because, well, there's not a return date.
Yeah.
So this is not only a really important game on the field, this is a game of financial consequence for BYU. So this is a huge weekend for BYU. This game is really, really important. I think credibility-wise, I mean, we saw the Big 12, tweeting about BYU. We saw the fact that BYU and Baylor was the most watched nighttime slot game, late-night slot game for ESPN since 2016.
It's a big deal, man.
This is a big, big deal. BYU is, how do I say it? BYU is a major program. BYU has the most momentum that I think they've had since I've been covering this team, and that's 2013. So going on almost 10 seasons, I've never seen this BYU product have more momentum than it has now, whether that be financial, whether that be, again, you look at the Oregon game, you look at the money in that game, you look at the Baylor game, the ratings on that game, like the fans that showed up in Tampa, you look at the momentum of this team going into the Big 12. That's why this season is so important. And I know I've talked this into the ground, but BYU cannot look past this year. What's going on this season is just so critical. And I'll ask Harris this coming up here in about 10 minutes. Harris LaChance will join us on the show as he does every Wednesday, presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. But you look at what this team has right now, and I don't think you can use any other word but momentum, because they're just so, in my mind, they're just doing so well. They're winning big games. They're winning big recruits. They're making good money. Tons of people are watching.
They're just flat out executing, in every facet of the program.
It's remarkable to have the biggest audience in a late night window on ESPN since 2016.
Yeah.
That's Pac-12 After Dark, and you put BYU on TV, people are going to watch. That's the amazing thing. And I just think when you look at everything that's going on with BYU, it's awfully difficult to overlook the fact that, this program right now is dominating.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that from a viewership standpoint, I think it's hugely important in the time we're in with college football expansion and the Big 12 conversation about them adding teams and everything that's going on. It is really, really important right now to continue to send that message through numbers that BYU does have that fan base, that BYU can pull big numbers in primetime slots. And I would remind you, this is a 1:30 kick. That is a good window to be in this
That's
this
a primetime Saturday window.
Yeah, and so to me, I just look at the schedule, and again, I know before the season started, before they went out to Florida and played in that messy-ass game, we were all talking about, hey, this is a really difficult schedule. But I have to say, I feel like Kalani has this program grounded right now in a very good place mentally. They're worried about executing and not the fact that they want a double overtime game. It's just crazy. If you watch the media availabilities or players talking, they all are very much in line and ready to go. And I think that is why the program is executing. That is why the program is in a better place. And that's ultimately why you're climbing the ranks.
This is why.
This is why.
Exactly right. The Monty Show is presented by the Advocates, Utah Injury Attorneys, UtahAdvocates.com. Make sure you check them out online. And listen, I think that the name says it all. The Utah Advocates are your advocate. When you've been in a car accident or you're injured, you're not your best self. Maybe you're not thinking the way you need to be thinking. That's why you go to UtahAdvocates.com. And the best part is it costs you no money out of pocket. The last thing you need to be doing when you've had a major motorcycle accident or major car wreck is to be reaching into your pocket, spending money that maybe you don't have. Well, the Utah Advocates are going to help you with that too. They're going to defer your medical bills. They're not going to charge you for your consultation. So many injury attorneys want to get into your pocket the minute that you reach out to them. That's not the case at the Advocates. They know your health is paramount. You need somebody to fight for you. That's why you go to the Advocates. Free, no-cost consultation. Then the best part is you don't pay the Advocates unless and until they win your case. That's right. They're so confident in their ability to help you get what you deserve to make you whole again that at the Advocates, you don't go into your pocket unless and until they win their case. Hook it up right now. UtahAdvocates.com. Proudly presenting the Monty Show. We appreciate Matt Driggs and all the guys at the Advocates. They're a great firm. I've known the guys at the Advocates since 2013. We were partners back at the old 1320K Fans. So great to have them right here back on the Monty Show. The biggest stories in sports this morning, I think obviously this situation with the Utah Jazz. Don't forget, coming up in about 40 minutes, we're going to switch gears and talk about the Jazz press conference yesterday, or really 2 days ago, the interview that Craig Bolerjack did with Danny Ainge. Like all of these things around the Jazz, and I just don't know where the Jazz are headed and why they've made a couple of decisions they've made. It's very interesting. The wording that you're going to hear from Danny Ainge is really critical. We'll have some of that for you coming up at about 11 o'clock right here on the Monty Show. Harris LaChance coming up in about 6 minutes as we get you ready for BYU and Oregon. Don't forget, by the way, Utah and San Diego State.
Huge game.
That's a huge game as well.
Game.
I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that from here on out, after what is now, I think everybody agrees, a terrible loss at Florida, now it's time for Utah to put their foot in the ground and go in a certain direction. They have got to win and win convincingly, in my opinion, over San Diego State, because you didn't fall as far as I think people thought you would fall. What are they, 14th at this point? I'm a little surprised that they didn't fall out of the top 15. I think that's a huge, huge win for Utah. And speaking of respect, I think that's a huge tip of the cap to Utah, Jake, because when you're 14th in the country and you're a 21-point home favorite, Utah is favored by 21 points over San Diego State. They got to come out and execute.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the story of this season so far has been this Florida loss. I mean, like everyone is still talking about it, and I think it's really, you know, it's obviously an unfortunate situation. You know, I just think everyone agrees that you should have beat Florida, and the fact is that's behind you now, and now you have a job to do. And I know that this is very cliche, it's very coach talk, but I really do feel like, you know, Utah and that program and Kyle Whittingham and Cam Rising and everyone who's a part of that, you know, your Devon Baileys of the world, you got to go out and do your damn job every week. You got to go out and execute. You talk about route running. Route running is paramount right now. Utah does not have that game-breaking wide receiver right now. I mean, as much as I love Dalton Kincaid and Brant Keithy, they're not enough just on their own to really make that difference and take you to that next level. And so to me, I think Utah really has to come up with a good game plan this week on how exactly they're going to get Vele more involved. How is it a thing where he's just got to run the route better? Is it a thing where a defensive scheme kind of held him down last week? That's what I'm really curious about. And I think that Utah, as you said, obviously needs to come out and win this game convincingly. But I think in the bigger picture, Utah understands that there's still expectations. Like, would anyone be surprised based on what you did last year if you got to a bowl game this year, like a significant, you know, Rose Bowl level bowl game this year? I don't think anyone would be surprised. But it just feels like when you lose that early and you're asking yourself to go undefeated for so long, that's a big ask.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting to see some of the comments. I agree with Isaac Aguiar, who says Utah needs W's. Yeah. You absolutely got to have W's. There's no doubt about that. And I will also say, you mentioned Devon Vele. I think he's a huge figure in this season. I mean, I think we're seeing what we thought we would get out of Keithy and Kincaid. I think they've absolutely lived up to the bill. I think Cam's lived up to the billing. The offensive line, I think, has been better. I mean, you really want to see good linebacker play this weekend. I really want to see Devon Vele have a 6-catch, 100-yard game.
Yes.
That'd be a huge breakout performance for him as we head for conference play. As we get closer and closer to October, the games are more and more meaningful, and you just don't have room for error anymore. And if you look at the momentum we talked about a few minutes ago with BYU, and you're beating South Florida, you're beating Baylor, you're going to Autzen, you have these big games, and now you've got Arkansas and Notre Dame coming up, and Utah is on the verge of losing that momentum. You lose this game to San Diego State, and it almost puts the brakes on your season.
Yeah.
And that's why I just think it's not an option. And when I look at what San Diego State is, they're never going to be an easy opponent. Mm-hmm. They're just not the way that San Diego State is built right now. And I think when you look at Utah, this is an experienced team with a lot of good leadership that now has to go out and execute. This is week 3. At this point, you should know who you are as an offense. You should be comfortable in your playbook. You should this is now repetition, muscle memory. You shouldn't have to be thinking through execution at this point now. And I think you're seeing that with BYU certainly, and I think you're going to see that with Utah this weekend. There is no reason to believe that Utah's going to come out. They need to cover that 21.
Yeah.
They need to come out and win convincingly, and I think they will do that. Because, again, I don't mean to be redundant. Momentum is king in this game.
Yeah.
We saw that with Utah last year. They made the switch at quarterback. Cam took over, and this team exploded forward. Mm-hmm. You've got to get that again because they're running the ball well. You need a wide receiver in that room to step up and take pride in the fact that he's the number 1 wide receiver. Devon Vele's got all the tools to do that. The kid can run. He clearly is a very good catcher of the football. Now he needs to display that, and he needs to display that. Do they cover the 21?
Yeah, I think they do. I think they come out and they have a great week, and I know that that's a lofty thing to expect or predict, but I really just wouldn't be surprised if Utah came out and flexed on San Diego State. I think Utah's got size. I think Utah, obviously, with Tavion Thomas, can run the football, and I'd like to see better execution in the run game against San Diego State. I think it was very lacking against Florida, and I think that Utah always seems to thrive when they're able to play ground and pound football, and I think that that's where it starts this week. So if you see Utah roll out and they've got that run game going early, that's a great sign. But yeah, I think they do cover it. I would love to see them drop, a 40 spot on San Diego State, but we'll see. I mean, obviously they're going to need to do that if they cover the number. Yep.
M. Morris says BYU always had a problem with depth. This year might be the deepest they've been. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, you look at the offensive line. I think you look at the wide receivers at BYU. You look at what you got from Chase last week. That's exactly what quality depth is about, because depth is not just having a bunch of dudes that can run track star numbers. If you don't have guys in the wide receiver room, especially look when you're playing in Oregon or you're playing at Baylor, it's not enough to have guys who are wide receivers. You need football players that are wide receivers who can come in when you have 2 of your best wide receivers out that can run a route and, frankly, make a catch on a dime piece from Jaron. And then if you look at Chase on that throwback, he makes a really good throwback. He puts Jaron in a position to win. To me, that's depth. It's not good enough to have guys who can just play football. Mm-hmm. Depth requires quality football players that are good. BYU has not always had that. And I think when you look at these recruiting wins, BYU now has that kind of depth. And in my opinion, that's why you're seeing all of this momentum that we've talked about so often that BYU has. And it's just carried over from last year. And now you have a team that is really reaping the benefits of some really difficult times.
Yes.
And I think when you look at the offensive line, you look at the wide receivers, I'm just so impressed that the fact that you didn't have Puka Nacua and you didn't have Gunnar Romney, that's every reason not to throw the football. it was humid and it was hot and we're not supposed to sit around for what felt like 12 hours waiting to play football. Let's just pack it in and lose a game. Well, they didn't do that.
Yeah.
And I think that quality is why you're seeing BYU is winning games now. That's the different, to me, that's the key for momentum. Speaking of that throwback play, time to talk to Harris LaChance, as we do every Wednesday. Now, Harris, I got to tell you that I saw you, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe that you outran Jaron Hall to the end zone. Who's faster, you or Jaron Hall?
Definitely me. Definitely me.
You know the best part about that, and one of the things I want to ask you about is that a complete play? If you are not hitting somebody at the goal line, do you feel as good about that play, or was it a nice little capper that you had some contact there at the end of the play?
Yeah, you gotta go down and hit somebody for sure. So when especially when it's open like that, you gotta go find some work, man, somewhere.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt that you found some work, if you will. How much did you guys work on that play? As we talk BYU football with Harris LaChance, presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. How much did you guys work on that play?
Oh, we ran it a few times. When we called it, we were like, "Oh yeah, okay. Hopefully this works. Here we go." And then when they threw it back, it was wide open. We're like, "Oh shit, this is gonna work, dude. This is wide open. Let's roll." And so it was fun, man. It was awesome.
How many times in the O-line room have you guys watched that play? Because it was a procession down the right hash there. You guys were just running in mass. You look good. I got to tell you, man, for a big guy, it's like, you guys look good, man. You look like you were comfortable running down the field.
Well, you would too, Monty. If you saw that how open it was, you're like, all right, let's roll, man. It's exciting. No, dude, for real. We watched that play probably like once, and it was like, okay, good job, on to the next. Like,
yeah,
that's how it is. Like, all right.
Well, you know, it's funny. Before you popped on, we were talking about depth, and we were talking about, obviously, with Puka Nacua being out and Gardner Romney haven't seen the field yet. I mean, we're talking about a different, for me anyways, and I'm curious your thoughts. I feel like you guys not only have a bunch of guys that play football, but you have quality depth at skill positions, and perhaps we haven't always seen that at BYU. Can you guys feel that quality? Is there more confidence in everybody that's on that roster right now?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think we have a lot more talented guys these days, and it's showing. And it really just, when you have a lot of talented guys in the same room, you know, it just lifts each other up more and makes each other better. So I think that's a great add-on. I mean, we've always had talent, but you're right, though. We have a lot of talent nowadays. It's good.
Yeah, and I also think you guys have a lot of momentum right now. I don't know that there's a way to necessarily quantify what momentum is, but it feels like you guys are really, every week, there's big moments, there's big plays. Like I said, I know we talked about this last week, but it would have been easy for you guys to be like, yeah, we have a lightning delay. Maybe we're not going to play as hard, or we don't have our top two receivers. Maybe we're not going to be able to throw the ball. Like, it just seems like you guys have overcome that, and you just have this. It's never unstoppable, but you have a whole lot of momentum right now, it feels like, Harris.
Yeah, I don't know. We're just, like I said, man, just got to take it week by week and prepare the best you can. That was a crazy game last Saturday, and you have to just keep on keeping on, you know, double overtime. That's tough, man, but you got to keep just grinding it and taking it, you know, day by day, play by play. The momentum, yeah, it's great. But what are you going to do when you don't have that momentum too? You know what I mean? You got to just, whether high, whether low, you got to keep steady and keep going.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's talk about that Baylor game a little bit. And how tough was it? Because it looked like a physical football game. It looked like you guys are running your faces into each other. And I mean, that was a game where quite literally one snap of the football is going to determine who wins and who loses. How tough, how gritty, how physical was that game?
Oh, dude, it was awesome. It was like, it was just a complete all-out just football game, grinder, man, just a fight to the end. And that's what you want, man. Like, just those games, can't replace those for anything, man. Like, it was awesome. You know, we're in the huddle, we're looking at each other, and we're just like, let's go, boys. Like, this is it right here. Like, this is what we trained for all year. Like, let's go and just lay it all out on the line. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And Baylor's saying the same thing. You know, their defense saying the same thing. So, when you have competition like that, nothing better than that, man.
Do you guys talk a lot to like Baylor, BYU? Are you guys talking across the line? Are you guys like what is that relationship like on the field? Is there a lot of heat? Is there a lot of like what is that conversation like during a game?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it depends on like some of the teams we play talk a lot of crap, others don't. It depends on how the game's going. This particular game, there's some trash talk going on. There's some just chilling. Like for example, I was talking to Siaki Ika, and he was like, and I noticed he's wearing the same cleats I was. But they're these Nike cleats that came out like a while ago, and they don't make them anymore. I talked to the Nike manufacturers, and they don't make them anymore. And I was like, so I have to find my cleats that I like on eBay sometimes, the Nike Zoom Code Elites. But he had them on; they were brand new, and I was like, wait a second, you guys have those? I was like, let's trade cleats after the game, bro. Like, I got to get a new pair of those. And so you have like little small talk like that. And that's one of my favorite things is like you're chilling and we're giving it our all, but at the same time we're bros too. I don't know. It's like this weird mutual respect when you're going against each other every play. You know what I mean?
Well, you're going to Oregon. Maybe you and Phil Knight can hang out and he can make you some cleats or something, man. I mean, he's got a little pull at Nike from what I understand.
Well, I told him, man. Yeah, I was like, you got to make those more. They're like, I don't know. Everybody likes them, so who knows?
Yeah, you're a Nike school. You would think that they would be able to hook that up. They make retros all the time now. Yeah. As we talk BYU football with Harris LaChance, brought to you by Papa Murphy's Pizza. And thanks to our good friends at Coug Connect, by the way, cougconnect.com, for hooking us up with Harris. By the way, there's a rap song from Coug Connect. Have you heard like the anthem, the Cody Epps anthem? Have you heard this thing?
I wouldn't call it an anthem, but yeah, it's an anthem. I guess it is.
Okay, wait. So can they? It's actually a good song. I actually enjoy it a little bit. But
Rock and Royal.
Yeah. How does that get received in the room? Like, how do you as a group like that song?
We played it. We had like big speakers in the locker room. We played it one time. And it's funny. He's like, there's this part. He's like, shout out to the players, wives and babies. It's freaking funny. We're like, this is BYU, dude. Like, he's trying to rap, trying to sound cool. It's a good song. I don't know. It is what it is. It's funny. We laugh at it. It's kind of goofy, but
I love it. Absolutely love it. And that brings me to one of the questions I want to ask you about the Baylor game before we move on to Oregon. The hug on the sideline, the hug heard around the world. Really, if we're being honest, the hug that was in everybody's feels around the world, because you have a sobbing kicker who's missed these 2 field goals, and you've just won the game, and him and Jaron are in this death hug where Jake, it feels like his soul is just coming out onto the shoulder of Jaron Hall. But what I think about that is I always hear Kalani say, love, family, brothers, we support everybody, we stick together. And I'm not trying to be corny or whatever, but it just felt like that was the embodiment of what Kalani Sitake talks about. How did the team react to that moment?
Oh, absolutely. That's nothing new here, man. I love this culture here at this team, and it's a culture of love and learning. And when you make a mistake, you learn from it and you move on, but we all love each other. We lift each other up. You know what I mean? And you stay as positive as you can. Like I said before, even we talk about highs and lows in a game and in life. You want to constantly kind of be steady and be, if you're having, if you're going through some good times, don't forget the Lord, or don't forget, to do the basics. And if you're going through some hard times, same thing. And that's what that culture is here, man. He teaches us about life and how things can be hard, but we're going to make it through. We lift each other up. We support each other, and help each other. And honestly, that was like a perfect example of that in our culture. So
what was it like when Kalani brought Jake in front of the team? He talked about it in his press conference that he brought Jake up in front of the team to let him know that, hey, we all support him. Like, was there emotion in that? Was there celebration in that? Was it a quiet room? Like, what was that moment like?
Oh, yeah, just love. Just like, hey, man, I think we all were just kind of cheered a little bit. Just, helps that we won, but also that that we love him no matter what. You know what I mean? We're gonna get it next time, and that's all you can do. So that's that.
Is there? It just felt like I'll never forget the look on his face. Like underneath his helmet, you have a kid that's dying inside because he missed these 2 kicks, right? Like I'll never forget that emotion. How much passion is there? How much of that heart and soul that we always hear about in rap songs and in cliches, but it just seemed like that was really in that moment. Like how much of that is real in a football game and in a football environment?
Oh, dude, 100%. It's all real. It's all emotion. Like I say, play after play. Like I always say, you're giving it your whole life. You've worked your whole life to be there in that play. You know what I mean? You put your whole life on the line, and you're giving it all you've got every single play. And that is the most highest emotion you can have. You know what I mean? That's why you got to stay steady. But it's true. It's like that hug, that thing. I mean, I feel like that's the whole world needs that, man. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing. And it's like, whether hard times, whether good times, we're going to stick together. We're going to stick this through. And it is, man. It's even more than a game. You love it. It's love. It's love.
That's awesome. Talking to Harris LaChance, BYU football in Eugene this weekend, taking on Oregon. How tough? Do you know Watson Stadium? Have you been exposed to that? Like, how tough of a place to play is it?
Yeah, so I haven't played there before, but I heard it's going to be pretty wild. The fans are pretty wild there, so that should be really fun. I think it's going to be pretty fun, especially just going out there on the road and kind of getting a little taste of our own medicine lately from our crowd, but now they're going to be yelling over our offense and stuff, and so that should be fun. It's been raining here all week long, so yesterday we practiced in the rain. It's supposed to rain there, and so it's been pretty fun, man. I'm excited for this game.
Well, by the way, I noticed you're wearing a sweatshirt. I am so jealous. I am ready. We're like getting the red eye tonight. I am ready to be back in Utah where it's finally cooled off. But
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of sweatshirt weather. I got to tell you, seeing you in a sweatshirt actually like lifts my spirits today because I'm ready to come home and put on the sweatshirt, man.
Whatever, dude. You're chilling over there in Hawaii, bro. You got to be having so much fun. I'm surprised you're wearing a shirt right now, man.
Hey, man, I'm not complaining. Well, I don't want to make all the wives and girlfriends jealous by going shirtless. It's just not something I feel appropriate to do. But I'm a huge sweatshirt guy. Like I am we went to the top of Haleakala, which is the volcano here on Maui yesterday, and it was like 39 degrees. I had on the sweatshirt. I was cold. I haven't felt cold like that since last winter on a snowboard, man. And to see you in a sweatshirt is just amazing. By the way, what's the hat you're wearing? I see it's a baseball hat now that you turned it around.
Oh, yeah, I'm a big hat guy. So this is the Red Sox hat.
Oh, nice.
But it's got the 04 World Series patch on there. This is a UV series, the red UV. I don't know. They make all sorts of fitted hats these days, and they have all sorts of cool colorways, and I love it, man. You got to hit it on the drop, like some shoes.
So see, now you're talking my language. Yeah. I'm a Jordan guy. Like I am a huge shoe collector. I'm a huge hat collector. The problem is I wear a size 8 hat. I have a massive cranium. Just hold this massive brain. So I wear a huge hat. And those are not readily available. My main question about that hat is what was the issue? Were they sold out of Cubs hats the day you bought that Red Sox hat by accident?
That's a good one. I get it. Let's go back to the fact that you're snowboarding. Let's go. Can we bring back that? Yes. You're a big snowboarder, dude. You're just like hitting jumps and freaking pulling 360s or what? Yeah,
like triple Lindy's and stuff. No, I get less air than the width of a credit card, but I can blaze, dude. I mean, I can actually snowboard. I'm a pass holder at Vail. Like I am a Park City Mountain guy, and we actually go to Tahoe, Mammoth. We go out to Denver. Yeah, I'm a snowboarding dude, man. I love it.
Dude, love it. Lit. I would love to be a snowboarder. I'm like, when I get done with football, whenever, I'm like, I gotta lose some weight and get into some outdoor sports here.
It helps to lose weight. Trust me. It does. It makes a difference. All right. Before we cut you loose, I want to get to this Oregon thing too. When you look at Oregon and you look at the way you guys match up, I mean, obviously Oregon is going through a reshuffle right now. Brand new head coach. when you look at that team now, what have you guys seen on tape and in your preparation? What are you expecting from the Oregon Ducks this weekend?
I'm expecting they're going to give us everything they got. Much respect to this team. I mean, they have a lot of talented players and a lot of great players. So we're preparing for it, even more so than our last game. You know what I mean? We got a bigger target on our back, so everybody's going to give us the best shot they got, and so we got to be ready for it too. And I think it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a grinder again, so it should be fun.
Ranked 12th in the country, but a 4-point road dog at Oregon. I know you always tell me every week so far, well, we don't pay attention to that. I don't know what that means. You guys are 12th in the country, and you're a 4-point dog. Like, there's some respect that I think and I guess you have to earn it every week, and I totally understand that. But I would think that you guys like where you're at right now. Absolutely, you can get better. But what does it mean that Harris LaChance, you're on a BYU football team that's ranked 12th in the country, going to Oregon to play a massive game? What does that mean to you?
It means that it's pretty awesome, but it also means that it's only week 2, man. Or week 3 coming up here. So it's awesome, but I'm excited to see. I want to see, ranked number 1 or number 2 at the end of the season. So that's my goal. That's all of our goals. We're excited, but there's plenty of work to do. So that's what I would say.
Final question would be about the run game. Obviously, I think everybody's making a big deal about, Christopher Brooks, getting going or hasn't gotten going. I mean, I think we're making too much of that. I think the football community is making too much of that. There's a transition for him coming in from Cal, but are you, with Chris and specifically with the run game on the whole, are you guys happy with what you've been able to produce in that aspect of the offense?
I don't think we're happy with it. I think there's always much to improve on. I think that this past D-line was a really good D-line. That was a good test for us. I think we're constantly working out the kinks here, adjusting some stuff and making right reads, getting more comfortable. And so I think that's where we're at there.
Well, I mean, as a 7th-year returning senior, Lopini Katoa, who feels like, I joke, but he feels like he's been here forever, and I know you guys have been on this club together for a long time, you've got to be really happy from him. I mean, he looks like he's playing great football. He's a big part of what you guys are doing offensively. I mean, that's a guy who has paid his dues, and now he's seen the fruits of his labor. I got to believe you're really happy for that guy.
Oh, dude, I love Penny. He deserves every single bit of it, man. He's a great runner, tough little guy, and will freaking be there whenever you need him. So he is awesome.
Well, enjoy the sweatshirt weather. Please stay healthy this weekend. It has been so fun to watch you inside at guard, and I wish you nothing but the best at Oregon, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Monty. Appreciate you, brother.
You bet. Appreciate you as well. That's Harris LaChance, guard for BYU.